The Tampa Bay Rays in 2022 put up a record of 86 and 76 that led them all the way to the postseason, getting in as the sixth seed in that new wild card spot. However, they fell short of advancing, losing in the wild card series to the Cleveland Guardians. Heading into 2022, the Rays will look to be competitive in a competitive division and hopefully, for their sake, make a deeper run into the postseason. So let's get straight into this Tampa Bay Rays team profile. My name is Derek. I'm here with Luke, and let's get straight into it. So as I said, 86 and 76 was the record for the Rays last year. There were some ups, there were some downs, a lot of injuries, which feels like a normal thing with the Rays. They have like a gazillion injuries every year. Heading into 2023, I'll head over to Luke first. Who are three key players for this Rays team? And out of those three, which one do you think will have the biggest impact for them?
Well, I got first. My team motto for the Rays this year is get asses in the seats. They need to have an awesome year to compete in the American League East to begin with, first of all. And maybe if they have a good enough year, they can actually draw some fans during the regular season, though that may be impossible given the location and condition of Tropicana Field. As far as key players, the biggest I got is Tyler Glasnow, the returning ace. Now I guess you'd call him the co-ace. He having him on there healthy all year could propel the Rays from a wild card team to possibly a division winner if he returns to that form he had before his Tommy John surgery. Shane McClanahan's the other big one I got. Between him and Glasnow, you got a potential of a Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling like 1-2 punch, and Wander Franco. He played like 90 games last year, but during that half season, he was just not what he was advertised to be his rookie season. So he with Glasnow and McClanahan pitching up to form and Franco bouncing back into being the player he's supposed to be, then the Rays could have a very dangerous team.
Yeah, I think for Franco, it was definitely kind of injury related most of the part. Last year, struggled with injuries, staying healthy. Glass now missed essentially all of last year. Um, for me, I kind of went, in terms of key players, went off the kind of star guys because this Rays team has a lot of talent that people outside the American League East that don't get to see the Rays often don't often see all the time. Yeah, a guy like Yandy Diaz who had an on base percentage over 400 last year, which is extremely hard to do. And then you also look at a guy like Drew Rasmussen in that rotation. I think is one of the most underrated starters in baseball. However, I think kind of the big guy that is really going to kind of make or break this team is Brandon Lau. He hit almost 40 homers a couple years ago, was injured a lot of last year. He's not going to be an average guy, but he brings some pop into that lineup in the middle of the lineup that doesn't have a whole lot of big home run hitting power. Rosarena hit 20 last year. Paredes hit 20 and less than 400 at bats, but he only hit about 205. So with Lau, you're going to get big power from the left side, which they don't really have. And having him in that lineup every day at second base creates a very good middle infield with him and Wander Franco up the middle.
I always hated players like Lau, the guys who might hit 35 or 40 home runs, but can't manage 30 singles over the course of the season. I just he's an impact. He killed the Red Sox in 2021. I remember. He's good. He's just it's uncommon to get a guy who plays second base to have that kind of potential. That's pretty rare. I mean, that kind of power.
Power,
That's
yeah.
pretty rare. But it's just, I just goes. He's like Bobby Dahlbeck in 2021 to me. That's how I feel about him.
Yeah, I mean, he had 39 homers in 2021, which is his only year he's played more than 100 games. He played 149 in 2021. So if you're the Rays, you're looking at him to kind of return to that. And he was very good in 2020, although that was a shortened season anyways. However, he did play in 56 games that year. Looking at this Rays team and looking at this offseason for the Rays, they didn't do a lot. They signed Zach Eflin, and then the really only other move they made, they traded away G-Man Troy, which shocked a lot of people outside of Tampa. I mean, with me living in Florida, it didn't really shock me. Which of those two moves is really the big move? It's for this Rays team, losing G-Man Choi, although they did agree to trade him away, or bringing in a guy like Zach Eflin.
Whoops. I think Eflin is such a low profile move. He's pretty cheap for a starting pitcher, but he's going to be a number 5 in that. I mean, they got Glass now, and they got McClanahan, and they got Springs, and they got Rasmussen. I mean, he's just kind of a non-factor to me. Losing G-Man Choi, I think, is big. He was a really underrated role player on that team. Start at first base, come off the bench, and hit. I remember, I think he was the first person to really get to Garrett Whitlock in a save opportunity in 2021. That really stands out to me, and I just feel like he just does a lot of things. He's just a really good hitter. He's a really good hitter. That he's a dangerous hitter off the bench. I think they're really gonna miss him. But then again, it's the Rays. They lose players like that, and then they replace them with guys that are just as good or better that nobody's ever heard of. So it's a very Zach Eflin is a very Tampa signing, and losing G-Man Choi is a very Tampa loss that they'll probably recuperate pretty easily.
Yeah, I think it'll allow them to play Paredes at third every day. It'll allow them to have Yandy Diaz at first, at least to start the season, because they have Kyle Manzardo, who's one of their top prospects, first baseman, hits, is very good at the plate. That's his carrying tool is it's just him hitting. We'll probably have a problem. I'm not gonna lie. We'll probably have a prospect pipeline on him at some point this year, because last year in Double A he played between High A and Double A. He played 63 games in High A, 30 games in Double A. Probably starts this year in Double A, maybe Triple A. Maybe you see him in 23, maybe you don't. But the guy just absolutely rakes. He had a 183 weighted runs created plus in High A, and then a 148 rated runs created plus in Double A. So the guy just rakes. So losing G-Man Choi, it's definitely a big loss for 23. I think if Manzardo pans out how they expect him to, they'll have first base covered long term. But it gives them a little bit more flexibility because Yandy Diaz now gets to play first base, keep him on the speed a little bit more, because he is their leadoff hitter, and then you get to play Paredes every day instead of having to shuffle him around to second, then to third, and then playing him at first and moving around, although he did kind of play a lot of second because Lau was injured last year. But this Rays team, they didn't do too much this offseason. They did finish 86-76. What's their expectation for 2023? How do we feel about this Rays team heading into 2023?
I got them finishing second in the AL East and then losing in the ALDS. They're not built for the playoffs. They never have been built for the playoffs, except maybe in 2008 when they lost to the Phillies in the World Series. 2020, I don't really think about very much. I don't really give much credence to whatever happened then to that year to any team. So I got them in the playoffs again. I just don't think. I think it's just going to be pretty much the same kind of season it was last year, which is good by the standards of most teams. But when are they going to get over the hump, if ever?
Yeah, I think for this Rays team, I mean, I'm really high on them. I love their rotation. I love it. I mean, if everyone stays healthy, I love it because you got McClanahan, you have Glass now, you have Rasmussen, you have Springs, Eflin's your 5, Taj Bradley, who's their top prospect, top 20 prospect in baseball. He's waiting in the wings in AAA. He actually got some games in AAA, was dominant in the minor leagues last year. So he'll be ready to go. Shane Baz is out for 23 due to Tommy John, but if he was healthy, that would just be another guy they have. They have like guys with upside like Luis Patino, who's still shockingly really young somehow in he'll probably be in AAA. So you look at kind of this Rays team, they have so much depth where they need to make the playoffs. And actually, my exact expectation, I literally worded it this way as I was planning this out. I said, push for a deep run in the playoffs while flexing their organizational depth. That's the exact words I wrote. Because that's what you need to do. Push for a deep playoff run, and they're going to be flexing their organizational depth the whole way there because the Rays are team somehow, some way. They end up with like 20 players on the injured list at once, and they still win ball games. That's just what they do.
Well, that's pretty much what they do every year: is push for a deep player run, push for a deep playoff run, and flex their organizational depth because they don't bring in free agents other than guys like Zach Eflin. So same old with the Rays.
Yeah, 100%. And the Rays are kind of proving themselves to be very consistent. It's just, can they get over the hump? That's going to be a very interesting question that the Rays will have to answer in 23. Can they get over the hump? Especially because guys like Wander Franco are only going to get more expensive because of that extension he signed. He's not going to be cheap forever. So Rays fans, let us know your thoughts in the comments on the Rays team heading into 2023. Make sure to check out all our Bleach Brawls links in the description, the Bleach Brawls website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter, plus all the crew's Twitters. Also, first link in the description will be a playlist of all the team profiles. So make sure to check that out. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know if I'm going to repost. For Luke, my name is Derek. Thanks for tuning in to Bleacher Brawls, and we'll see you next time.